With the new My Lowe's Pro Rewards American Express card, earn 3 points per dollar spent on Lowe's qualifying purchases for the first 6 months after card account opening. Plus, save 5% every day on eligible purchases at Lowe's and earn points on eligible purchases everywhere else Amex is accepted. Card members get more at Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. 5% can't be combined with any other offer. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Points subject to loyalty terms at Lowe's.com/terms and credit reward terms at Synchrony.com/MLPRA-terms. Visit Lowe's.com/business credit.
My name is Brenda. Welcome to Horrifying History, where you will hear about the unexplained and supernatural events that have stained the pages of history. There are crimes that shock and horrify us, and then there are crimes that erase not just a life or a person, but entire families. So get comfortable, my spooky friends. Today, we're going to talk about entire families who vanished without a trace. For our first case, we are going to Argentina. It is located in southern South America and is the second largest country in the region. Argentina is divided up into 23 provinces and one autonomous city, which is Buenos Aires. It is considered to be generally safe for both tourists and locals, and ranks as one of South America's safest destinations. Even so, petty crime like pickpocketing, it is common. But for the Gill family in 2002, they weren't safe. This case does not begin with a crime scene, but it begins with a journey. Ruben Gill and his wife Margarita lived on a farm in the Entre Rios province of Argentina with their children, Maria, age 12, Owaldo, age 9, Sofia, age 6, and Carlos, aged 4. Ruben and Margarita worked as the landlords of the property and also worked various local jobs to stay afloat. The farm they worked on belonged to a man named Alfonso Goyete. On January 12, 2002, life for the Gills was completely normal until they went to the nearby town of Viale to visit a family friend named Maximo Vega. It was a planned visit, and nothing unusual was noted by those around them. There were no arguments or threats from anyone. It was just a family going to visit a good friend. This was the last time that the family was seen. In April, Ruben and Margarita's boss Alfonso contacted the Gills' relatives to tell them that the Gills did not come back from a 3-month vacation that he had approved, which began in January. At first, the investigators focused on common reasons that a group of people would disappear, like road accidents in remote terrain, but no vehicle was found, and there was no debris anywhere. This absence was the first clue, because in most disappearances involving a vehicle, some physical evidence is eventually found. But in this case, there were no physical clues. The next step that authorities took was to take a look at Ruben's cell phone. The day after the family visited their friend, calls were made to the phone of a woman residing in another nearby town named Rosario, but she didn't know who Ruben was speaking to or why. This cell phone stayed active for 15 months after the family disappeared, but the police could not track whose hands the phone was in. Authorities started questioning the people around the family and discovered the last time that Ruben was seen was on the farm riding a horse. No neighbor or relative had heard or seen from the family since this date. Those who knew them told the police that the family leaving town on their own was unlikely, because they had no vehicle of their own, and Margarita, who had another job at the school in town, had not been given her last paycheck. 6 years after the family disappeared, authorities conducted a raid on the farm where they used to live. Wells were dug out and the floors of buildings were pulled up. The police were able to find traces of blood when they used luminol. 3 samples were recovered, but the problem was that the Gill's DNA was not on file and that samples had been contaminated. Police did note that there was a large number of flies in this area, and they believed that they were attracted to a human corpse. So the area was tested with an echo sounder, but no trace of disturbed soil was found. Without further options, the authorities decided to bring in a forensic psychologist to do a profile of the family in hopes of generating some clues. The forensic psychologist concluded that the Gill family had no psychological or religious motive to cut ties with their family and friends. They also did not have much contact with the other families in the area, but he noted that the normal, happy-to-go-lucky Reuben was acting differently in the days leading up to the disappearance. Several witnesses reported that he looked concerned about something and was very quiet. After conducting a search in and around the family's residence and finding nothing, the police investigated several leads in various provinces in Argentina. But once again, nothing. Through the years, the Gill family hasn't appeared on any sort of records like immigration, social security, or enrollment in school. In February of 2018, 15 years after the family went missing, another search was conducted on the farm after a rural contractor claimed that he heard Reuben complaining about wells that his boss asked him to dig, just days before the family disappeared. During this search, Reuben's brother and Margarita's mother demanded authorities search the basement of the farm's main house. They alleged that after the family went missing, Alfonso had the basement covered. Still, nothing. As for Alfonso, he told the authorities that he believed the family went to the Argentinian town of Santa Fe to visit relatives, or that they went northeast to search for work. He said that the family had left all their possessions in the house, including things like documents, clothing, personal items, and money. But when the police accessed the house, there were no belongings. What they did find was that all the mattresses were burned and stained with blood and dirt. When the police asked Alfonso why the mattresses were in that condition, he claimed that he found them covered in blood, so he burned them. He also claimed that he authorized Reuben and Margarita to take a vacation, and that is why he didn't come forward to the police about them being missing. Now that didn't add up for authorities because Alfonso never gave them more than 10 to 15 days vacation in the past. Why would he, just out of the blue, give them 3 months? There are several theories on what could have happened to the Gill family. The first is the organized crime theory. Organized crime in Argentina is dominated by medium-sized family-based clans and fragmented gangs. They are heavily involved in things like drug trafficking, money laundering, and extortion. They have marked territories that they control, and high homicide rates are driven by their turf wars and drug distribution. They also have protection rackets that target businesses and are involved in human trafficking. Many suspected that Alfonso was somehow involved in the family's disappearance, since he was described by many as a very powerful and feared person in the local area. It was well known that Reuben and Margarita had filed a labor lawsuit against Alfonso for mistreatment. Many believe that Reuben and Margarita may have been forced into illegal activities on the property, and Alfonso had them eliminated after the Gills submitted the labor lawsuit against him. Many believe that members of a criminal gang had intentionally stopped the family on Alfonso's request, killed them, and disposed of the bodies in a way that left no trace. But others say that the family wasn't wealthy or politically connected in any way. They never indicated that they or Alfonso had any connection to organized crime. This led to the theory that is often discussed in the media, the mistaken identity theory. What if the Gill family wasn't the intended target? What if someone else was supposed to be? In this theory, the family did not die due to their own actions, but because they witnessed or suffered collateral damage in a conflict involving their employer, Alfonso. Some locals speculate that the family was not the intended target or that they were murdered to prevent them from talking. But just like the first theory, there is no proof to prove that it is true. But what if the Gill family knew exactly what they were doing and disappeared voluntarily? What if they saw or did something that made them a target, so they planned an escape? Some believe that the family either moved to search for new job opportunities or maybe to hide and protect themselves. The problem with this theory is that the family left behind their belongings, official documents, and their money. If the family had gone on the run, they would have taken these. If they went away to find work, they would have used banking services or been in a governmental database. They have had no contact with any family member, and then there were those burned mattresses, which points to a violent event rather than a voluntary departure. As of 2025, there has been a 12 million peso or about $70,000 reward for any information that will help solve this case. Police believe that someone knows something that will crack this case wide open, because families rarely vanish completely without any banking activity, using different identities, or any sightings. For a family to completely disappear would take extensive planning, and the evidence points to the fact that there were none. The city of Prince George in the Canadian province of British Columbia is known for being a major hub for industry, education, and culture. It is renowned for its vast natural beauty, with the area having over 1,600 lakes, rivers, and forests, along with a community and a family atmosphere. It is also well known as the place where the Jack family disappeared, never to be seen again. Back in 1989, the Jack family were struggling financially. This Indigenous family consisted of unemployed woodcutter Ronald, his wife Doreen, and their sons, Russell, aged 9, and Ryan, aged 4. Ronald wasn't working due to a back injury, and he and Doreen were trying to find stability since the family had been surviving on welfare. The couple were members of the Chestula Carrier First Nation, located just outside the village of Burns Lake, and very little is known about their upbringing. Doreen's sister Maria told the press that their childhood was not the best. Their mother abandoned them, leaving them with their abusive father. They both suffered from abuse and poverty in their local Indigenous community. Doreen was attending a Catholic high school when she met and started dating Ronald. Doreen welcomed her first son Russell in 1980 when she and Ronald were both 17. They soon broke up when Ronald discovered that Russell was not his. 2 years later, they rekindled their romance and they moved in with Ronald's parents. Ronald's mother Mabel has since stated that Ronald and Doreen seemed very happy living with her, and Ronald treated Russell as his own son. In 1985, the young couple welcomed their second son, Ryan. By the mid to late 1980s, the Jack family's financial situation worsened when Ronald was laid off at a sawmill after he injured his back. They had to go on welfare and then relocated to the city of Prince George in hopes of more job opportunities. As money got tighter, the couple started to implode. Doreen's sister Maria had witnessed Ronald hitting her, and Doreen started to heavily drink. By August 1st, 1989, the couple's financial state was dire. Doreen allegedly resorted to stealing for the family to survive, and Ronald told his mother that he was in debt to a person for an undisclosed amount of money. In the evening of August 1st, 1989, which was about a year after the family moved to Prince George, Ronald decided to go to the First Leader pub, which was 4 blocks away from his and Doreen's home. While there, Ronald was approached by an unknown man who offered both Ronald and Doreen jobs at a logging camp located about 24 miles or about 40 kilometers west of Prince George. The man told Ronald that the job would be between 10 days and 2 weeks. Ronald would cut trees into planks, and Doreen would work as the camp cook, and their children would go to the camp's daycare while they worked. Those in the pub that night would later describe the man to police as a white male in his late 30s. He looked to be between 6 feet and 6 feet 6 inches in height, weighing between 200 and 275 pounds. He had reddish-brown hair, a full beard, and was wearing a baseball cap. He had on a checkered work shirt, faded jeans, a blue nylon jacket, and work boots with leather fringe on its toes. Ronald and the stranger left the pub at about 11:15 p.m. and went to the Jack's residence. In the early morning of August 2nd, Ronald called his brother, who lived in nearby Burns Lake, and asked if his sons could stay with him while he and Doreen were gone. Ronald's brother was not able to help, so Ronald then called his mother, Mabel. He told her that he and Doreen would be going to work at a logging camp, and since they did not own a car, the stranger was going to drive them all to the job site that night. He ended his conversation joking that she had to go look for him if he didn't come back. That was the last time she heard from her son. After being seen packing their belongings into the stranger's pickup truck, they were never seen again. After not hearing from her son for several weeks, Mabel reported the family is missing. The police went to the Jacks' home and discovered that most of their belongings were left behind. Then, on September 7, 1989, the Prince George Detachment of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, otherwise known as the RCMP, incorrectly marked this case as solved. This resulted in the case being closed, and no one was actively looking for the family. After it was reopened, a reenactment of the disappearance was filmed and released by Crime Stoppers, but it was broadcast in the region where it was believed the family disappeared from. When authorities discovered that there were no employment records for either Ronald or Doreen at any of the nearby logging camps, they came to the chilling conclusion that there was never any job that existed in the first place. In 1992, the local Native Friendship Center, along with Ronald's mother Mabel, did a fundraiser to offer an increased reward money for tips and to get publicity for this case. Then came a phone call on the morning of January 28, 1996, which was 7 years after the family disappeared, to an RCMP detachment in the district of Vanderhoof. The caller was anonymous. This detachment was about 61 miles or 98.17 kilometers away from Prince George. The call would later be traced to a home in nearby Stony Creek, which is part of the Dake First Nations, about 6 miles or 9 kilometers away from Vanderhoof. The caller claimed that the Jack family were buried on the south end of a ranch, and then they hung up. The police immediately issued a province-wide appeal for the caller to contact them. When the caller did not, the police released the audio from that call in hopes that someone would recognize the voice. When that didn't work, the authorities attempted this again in 2018. Once again, nothing. The only thing that the RCMP was able to discover was that the call came in from a house where a party was taking place. The RCMP were not able to find all the party attendees, of whom there were about 6 to 9 people who went. In 2019, police searched the land that belonged to the Saikaz First Nation south of Vanderhoof with ground-penetrating radar, and they found no clues to what could have happened to the Jack family. The main theory about what had happened to the Jack family were that they were targeted by a predator who was specifically looking for a vulnerable family that was in dire financial straits and was willing to leave quickly. They were taken somewhere in British Columbia's vast wilderness. If they were taken far enough, they may never be found. It is also believed that the predator did not work alone. After all, it would be difficult for one man to lure and control 2 adults and 2 children alone. Many think that this case is actually part of something bigger, since to this day, it is the only case in Canadian history where an entire family vanished without a trace. In the early hours of a Wednesday morning in 1999, a fishing boat spotted a lifeboat drifting near a coastline in France. Inside, the crew found a jacket and a checkbook with the name of Dr. Eve Goddard. This was the start of a mystery that would soon spiral into a case of unsettling evidence, conflicting clues, and strange twists that made it one of the most strangest mysteries that France had ever seen. In late August, Eve Goddard, who was a 44-year-old doctor and acupuncturist, saw patients for the last time at his practice in the town of Caen in Lower Normandy, France. The next day, Eve cleared his schedule and put his affairs in order. He then took his 2 children, Marius, age 4, and Camille, age 6, to fishing ponds in the Panquiri region. On September 1, 1999, Eve and his children boarded a sailboat named the Nick. They then sailed out of the port of Saint-Malo. Eve's wife and the mother of his children, Marie-France, was not with them. Before he left, Eves told the owner of the Nick that he planned to sail as far as the seaside resort town of Perros-Guirec, and he would return on September 5th. He also purchased various cleaning products and cleaning cloths before he left, and left them inside his VW camper van, which was parked at the port. The following day, customs officials from France boarded the Nick to do a routine inspection. One of the officers would later say that he found Eve's behavior quite odd and saw one of the children asleep inside the boat. They reached out to the boat's owner to check Eve's story, and everything seemed to check out. After the inspection, the Nick was seen near the Bay of Brehec by several people between September 2nd and September 5th. One of the witnesses was a waffle vendor in port who would later testify that Eve purchased waffles for him and his children on September 3rd. The next day, the Nick was seen near the Point of Menard, and it was abandoned. The Nick's inflatable dinghy was found by a fishing boat on September 5th, which was the day that the boat was supposed to return to St. Malo. It was about 50 nautical miles off the coast of Brach Island. Inside was a jacket and a checkbook that belonged to Eves. An investigation was then started to try to find Eves and his young children. Not long afterwards, a phone call was made to the St. Malo police that a suspicious vehicle had been parked at the port for several days. When officials went to examine it, they discovered that it belonged to Eves, who had been declared missing with his children. When they opened the van, police realized that this was not an ordinary disappearance. Significant traces of blood covered the interior. The volume and how it was distributed suggested that someone had a very serious and likely fatal injury. Used morphine vials were found discarded in the van, and then there was those cleaning products, which included an open bottle of cleaner and a can of motor oil, which appeared to have been used to clean or mask any biological evidence. Finding this, the authorities quickly realized that what was thought to be a possible maritime accident was likely a premeditated crime. After this discovery, the police searched the Goddard home, and what they found was shocking. In the living room, significant blood stains were found on one side of the couch cushions. Someone had flipped them over to hide the blood. More blood was discovered on the staircase leading upstairs to the main bedroom. The bed's mattress had been flipped over to hide a large blood stain about 11.8 inches or 30 centimeters wide. Blood splatter was found at about shoulder height on a nearby wall. There was no sign of forced entry, and it appeared that someone had attempted to clean the crime scene. Surfaces had been wiped down, and evidence items had been cleaned or hidden. Testing showed that the blood belonged to Eve's wife and baby mama, Marie-France Goddard. When the blood in the van and house was confirmed to be Marie's, the police realized that they were now investigating a murder. On September 10th, an official investigation was started, and Eve was the prime suspect. Authorities started to try to fill in the blanks. Did Eve kill his wife? The evidence started to build up and pointed directly towards him. Eve reserved the boat several weeks before his disappearance. Marie's blood was found in both the house and the van, which means Marie was at both locations. Did Eve kill his wife at home, put her body inside the van, and drive to the port with the children inside? According to the boat rental company, only Eve and his children came to the port, not Marie. So, where was Marie? After learning all of this, the authorities issued an international arrest warrant, and Eve's information was uploaded into Interpol's Red Notice database, which is a global alert circulated to law enforcement worldwide. This resulted in all ports, airports, ferry terminals, and custom offices being notified. Even so, Eve and the children and Marie's body were still missing. 11 days after the boat was discovered, recreational sailors found a life jacket from the Nick floating off the coast of the Channel Islands near Normandy. A week later, the boat's inflatable life raft was discovered partially deflated on a beach near Dorset, England. Strangely, the raft's canvas canopy had been cut off and was missing. According to the manufacturer, the dinghy's emergency inflation device was detached, which meant the dinghy could only have remained inflated for 72 hours after the device was removed. According to experts, the dinghy and life raft shouldn't have been where they were found due to ocean currents alone. They had to have been scattered deliberately. The police then started to dig into Eve's background. They discovered that he earned his medical degree in 1984, and after initially working with another doctor, he started his own practice. He was very well liked by his patients, who said that he had a calm demeanor and very innovative ideas. He did face professional scrutiny and was placed on a 3-month suspension in 1996 for irregular prescribing practices. Eve also became involved in a group that was advocating for reduced Social Security contributions for physicians called the CDCA, which led to him having an ongoing dispute with his profession's regulating body. Marie was Eve's second wife. He had 2 sons from his first marriage, whom he had very limited contact with. After his divorce, he married Marie in 1993. Marie was a secretary in Eve's office, and she came into the marriage with 2 children from her previous relationship. Marie would manage the household while dealing with bouts of depression. The couple had 2 children together. Their oldest, Camille, was 6 years old. She was about to start attending primary school. Their son, Marius, was about to start preschool. Friends and neighbors said that the children were well taken care of, and they and their parents loved outdoor activities like sailing. But under all of this was tension. The Goddards presented like they were a close-knit family, but the marriage was strained due to Eve's professional isolation and the family's money problems. The couple was in serious debt. They owed over $350,000 in unpaid taxes, Social Security contributions, and retirement fund obligations. This was made worse by Eve's involvement in the CDCA and a dispute concerning an inheritance. Police stated that Marie's journal gave hints that she was frustrated within her marriage's dynamics, and with Eve being a workaholic. Even those around the couple did not see any outward conflict. The 2 planned a short sailing vacation as a way to get back on the same page. 4 months after the disappearance, a fishing vessel found a canvas travel bag in its fishing nets off the coast of the Isle of Braz, off the coast of Brittany. It contained children's clothing and toys. It also contained personal effects belonging to all members of the Goddard family, including driver's licenses, insurance papers, checkbooks, the entire contents of Marie's purse, binoculars, and a hammer. On June 6 in the year 2000, a fishing vessel dredged up a piece of human skull from the bottom of the sea in St. Brieuc Way. The fishermen threw it back into the water, and another skull came up about 4 hours later. He brought this one to the police, and forensic analysis showed that it belonged to Eve and Marie's daughter, Camille. The area where it was found was near the location where the Nick was inspected by custom officers. With this information, authorities theorized that maybe the Nick sank, taking the lives of Eve and his children. The area was searched and no sunken boat was found. In 2001, this mystery became even more puzzling when a person found Eve's business card on a beach, and 10 days later found Eve's bank card on that same beach. Not long afterwards, his credit card was also found on the same beach, and a diver found a second credit card on the seafloor nearby. A fifth credit card was discovered washed up on the beach about a month after the other discoveries. The beach and the nearby seafloor was then searched in detail, and forensic analysis found that they were likely discarded one at a time into the ocean in early 2001. Investigators believe that this was done to make one think that whatever happened to Eve and his children was accidental. On September 13, 2006, a femur and tibia was found on the seabed of Herd's Deep, which is an underwater valley and the deepest part of the English Channel. DNA testing confirmed that the bones belonged to Eve. With no more discoveries or clues, the investigating magistrate closed this case due to insufficient evidence in September of 2012. There are several theories on what could have happened to the Goddard family. The first is that a family annihilator killed the family and staged it to look like Eve ended his own life after killing his family, which would explain finding his tibia and fibia, but where was the rest of his body? The second is that Eve was the family annihilator and murdered his family. Overwhelmed by the financial burden he was under, Eve killed his family and disappeared to start a new life. If this was true, why did authorities find his bones? That brings us to the third theory. What if another party that was somehow intertwined into Eve's financial issues confronted him, and the situation spiraled out of control? If that happened, where is Marie? Today's cases all have something in common. They have endings that are not really endings. Just like that, entire families vanish, leaving behind untouched homes, silent rooms, and questions that never get answered. There's no signs of a struggle, no goodbyes. They're just gone. Even when we think we understand what happened, there is always something that just doesn't sit right. There is one truth, though. When an entire family disappears, we expect answers that we often will not get. Thank you for joining me today. What are your thoughts about the cases we talked about? Do you think we'll ever get any answers? Let us know your thoughts on Facebook at Horrifying History, Instagram and Threads at Horrifying_history, X at Horrifying HIST1, or on Blue Sky by searching for Horrifying History. If you haven't already done so, please remember to subscribe to our podcast. When you do, not only do you let more people know about our show, but you also download our next episode on its release day. It's a great way not to miss our next episode. The Ludlow Massacre, Blood in the Coalfields. To learn even more about Horrifying History, you should visit our website. When you're there, you will find links to all of our social media and to our YouTube channel, which features not just our podcast episodes, but also additional history-based videos for your enjoyment. We also have a blog that's filled with spooky topics and episode updates to read up on. On top of this site is the home to our fan club, which offers excellent perks like your own feed to listen to our show ad-free, access to new episodes a week early, and a new bonus episode each week. It's also the home to our store that's filled with spooky merchandise that you guys will love. For our fan club members, you will receive a permanent discount in our store as long as you remain a fan club member. You can find all of this and more at horrifying-history-shop.fourthwall.com. Thank you for joining me today. Sleep tight, my spooky friends, and if you wake up in the night, listen closely. Not every home stays empty forever.